What if I told you that the world you see, the solid objects, the ticking clock, even the very ground beneath your feet, is not what it seems? What if reality, as you know it, is nothing more than a projection of your consciousness, an illusion shaped by perception, belief, and frequency? And more importantly, what if you had the power to shift it? This isn't science fiction. It's not a fantasy wrapped in spiritual jargon. It is the hidden truth encoded in ancient scrolls, whispered through mystery schools, and now slowly being rediscovered in quantum laboratories and awakening minds around the world. You're about to uncover a truth so profound, so paradigm-shattering, that once it clicks, once you truly understand it, your experience of reality will never be the same. We call this the quantum shift. But this isn't merely about quantum physics or abstract theory. This is about you, your consciousness, your choices, and your ability to bend the fabric of your own life. Across millennia, sages, mystics, and seers have hinted at it through riddles and symbols, as above, so below. As within, so without. These were not just poetic musings, they were encrypted instructions for mastering reality. In this video, we will journey through lost teachings, ancient wisdom, and cutting-edge discoveries to unveil the mechanics behind reality itself. You'll discover why things sometimes seem to magically align after a shift in mindset, and why the universe responds to your inner world like a mirror. We'll decode the matrix-like mechanics of the cosmos, explain how a quantum shift actually works, and most importantly, show you how to access it. Because once you realize that consciousness is the primary architect of reality, you'll stop reacting to life, and start shaping it. Are you ready to cross the threshold? Then come, let's begin. To truly understand the quantum shift, we must first journey backward, beyond the veil of modern science, past the dust-covered halls of forgotten empires, and into the timeless whispers of ancient civilizations. Long before the word quantum entered the lexicon of physics, ancient sages were already describing a malleable universe, one that could bend, shift, and transform based on the consciousness interacting with it. In the sacred temples of Egypt, initiates were taught that the material world was an illusion, a stage upon which the soul acted, but not the soul's true home. The emerald tablets of Thoth speak of the fire that lives within all things, a subtle energy, consciousness itself, that shapes and molds matter. To the untrained eye, these words may seem metaphorical, but to the initiated, they held the keys to reality's deepest code. Travel eastward, and you'll find the Vedic seers of ancient India, rishis who meditated not just to find peace, but to pierce the veil of Maya, the illusion of form. In the Upanishads, the universe is described as a dream in the mind of Brahman, the ultimate consciousness. All things, mountains, rivers, stars, even time itself, were seen as vibrations within this cosmic mind. To awaken was to realize that you were not merely in the dream, but that you were dreaming it. The ancient Hermetic philosophers of Greece echoed the same truths. Hermes Trismegistus, known as Thoth in Egypt and Mercury in Rome, declared, "All is mind." According to Hermetic doctrine, the universe is mental in nature. Every atom, every star, every life event is shaped by a universal intelligence, and more shockingly, that intelligence is also you. This idea was not merely mystical, it was operational. It implied that those who could attune their thoughts, beliefs, and inner frequencies to higher laws could begin to shape their reality from the inside out. Not metaphorically. Literally. This was the forgotten art of manifestation, not wishful thinking, but quantum command through conscious alignment. But why was this knowledge lost? Or more accurately, buried? Throughout history, power structures have feared the sovereignty of the awakened individual. An empowered mind cannot be controlled. A self-realized being cannot be enslaved by dogma, fear, or authority. And so, these teachings were hidden in symbols, encoded in sacred geometry, buried beneath layers of allegory, and protected in secret societies, from the Essenes and the Gnostics to the Rosicrucians and Freemasons. Only the worthy, the prepared, and the curious would ever seek them. Fast forward to the present age, and quantum physics begins to echo these ancient truths. Scientists like Max Planck, the father of quantum theory, once stated, "I regard consciousness as fundamental. I regard matter as derivative from consciousness." And yet, the modern world continues to view consciousness as a byproduct of the brain, rather than the force behind the very fabric of existence. What we are witnessing today is not a new discovery, but a great remembering. The separation between science and spirit is dissolving. Quantum mechanics is, in many ways, the scientific resurrection of ancient metaphysics. It speaks of entanglement, non-locality, superposition, all pointing to a reality that is not fixed, but fluid, not external, but participatory. The ancients did not need microscopes to know this. They journeyed inward, through meditation, initiation, sacred rituals, and altered states of consciousness. They mapped the inner cosmos, knowing that what they found there would mirror the outer world. The quantum shift, then, is not merely an intellectual realization. It is a spiritual rite of passage. It is the moment when the observer awakens to their role as creator, not just of art, or action, but of existence itself. And once you see this, you cannot unsee it. To grasp the essence of a quantum shift, we must first unravel the foundational illusion, the belief that reality is fixed, objective, and external. From the moment we open our eyes as infants, we are taught to trust the material world as the ultimate truth. The chair is solid, the sky is blue, and cause follows effect. Yet beneath this apparent stability lies a vast ocean of uncertainty, a playground of pure potential governed not by certainty, but by probability, observation, and intent. In quantum physics, this is known as the observer effect. At the subatomic level, particles exist not as fixed points, but as clouds of possibility, what physicists call a wave function. It is only when an observation is made that these possibilities collapse into a singular event. Simply put, matter does not exist in a definite state until it is observed. But here's where it gets even stranger. The act of observing doesn't just reveal reality, it creates it. This is not philosophical fluff, it's a fundamental property of quantum systems. In the famous double-slit experiment, electrons behave like waves when unobserved, passing through two slits simultaneously. But the moment they are measured, they collapse into particle form, choosing a single path. Reality changes in the presence of awareness. Now pause and consider, if your consciousness can collapse a quantum field into reality at the microscopic level, what does that imply about your everyday experiences? Could it be that your beliefs, emotions, and inner attention are constantly shaping the quantum field around you, drawing people, events, and outcomes into your life based on your inner state? This is the beginning of a quantum shift, the realization that you are not a passive receiver of reality, but a conscious participant in its unfolding. And like an artist with a brush dipped in thought, you paint your world on the invisible canvas of possibility. But let's take this deeper. Every thought you think emits a frequency. Every emotion you feel sends a ripple through the quantum field. When you worry constantly, you tune your consciousness to timelines that mirror fear and limitation. When you feel joy, gratitude, or wonder, you attune to elevated timelines, opportunities, synchronicities, and new realities begin to unfold. Ancient mystics understood this without the language of quantum mechanics. They spoke of vibration, resonance, and the law of attraction long before these concepts had modern terminology. They taught that your inner world is the seed from which outer reality sprouts. That your frequency determines your fate. And just as a radio can only receive the station it's tuned to, you can only experience the reality that matches your vibration. The quantum field is infinite, containing every version of you, every potential outcome, every possible timeline. In one version, you're thriving, aligned, and illuminated. In another, you're lost, stuck in old patterns. Both exist now, layered like pages in a multidimensional book. The question is, which page are you reading from? Which reality are you collapsing into form? Here lies the hidden power of intention and awareness. By shifting your focus, your emotion, your belief, even subtly, you begin to magnetize a different outcome. A new timeline. A different version of your future. This is not wishful thinking. It is quantum alignment. Think of it like tuning a musical instrument. When your consciousness is in disharmony, with fear, doubt, or past trauma, it plays a discordant note in the field, attracting chaos or stagnation. But when you retune, through meditation, gratitude, visualization, or presence, you become a harmonic match for miracles. The quantum shift is not just a moment of insight. It is a rewiring of your relationship with existence. It's the shift from "life is happening to me" to "I am shaping life from the inside out." It is the sacred pause before reaction, the inner stillness that births wisdom, the awareness that transforms reality before a single action is taken. And here's the secret: reality doesn't change all at once. The quantum shift begins within, silently, like a tremor beneath the surface. But that tremor grows. It attracts. It builds. Until one day, the world around you begins to reflect the change that started as a single thought, a whispered choice, a private act of courage. This is not magic, it is mastery. And yet, we've only just opened the door. Now that we've entered the quantum domain where reality bends to the influence of consciousness, we must venture deeper, beyond surface-level manifestations and into the hidden architecture of how reality organizes itself. At this level, we begin to understand not just how we shape our reality, but why some attempts at change seem to fail, while others ignite transformation with breathtaking speed. It's not just about thinking positively or visualizing success, it's about alignment, coherence, and resonance with a deeper truth. Let's begin with a paradox. The quantum field responds to certainty, not desperation. Many seek to shift their lives by desperately wanting something different, a new job, a soulmate, healing from pain. But desire fueled by lack emits the frequency of absence. The quantum field does not respond to your words, it responds to your vibration. If your core frequency is, "I don't have it," then that is what collapses into your reality. This is the hidden reason why so many spiritual seekers feel frustrated. Their mind says, yes, but their frequency screams, no. Ancient mystery schools understood this. Initiates were taught that to manifest a new reality, one had to become the vibration of that reality long before it appeared. This wasn't just ritual, it was embodiment. To attract love, become love. To attract abundance, feel the fullness already within. This is why true quantum shifts are preceded by internal transformation. Reality is the echo of what you are, not what you want. This understanding also demystifies the concept of timelines. You are not walking a single, predetermined path. Instead, every choice, every emotion, every shift in perception causes you to jump timelines, sliding into parallel versions of your life that reflect your current state of being. These shifts may seem invisible at first, like taking one step to the left in a vast fog. But over time, the landscape changes completely. In one timeline, you are repeating generational cycles, working a job you dislike, emotionally disconnected. In another, you've broken free, created something meaningful, and awakened to a deeper truth. Both timelines exist in parallel. They are not years apart, they are frequencies apart. This is why spontaneous transformation can happen in a moment. The woman who suddenly finds the strength to leave a toxic relationship and moments later receives a job offer across the country. The man who meditates daily on peace and begins to notice his health, relationships, and finances synchronizing. These are not coincidences. They are timeline jumps, quantum shifts responding to internal upgrades. But here's the mystical twist: the quantum field does not operate on linear time. In the field of potential, past, present, and future collapse into a singular now. This means that healing the past, creating the future, and transforming the present all happen through now-moment alignment. When you choose forgiveness today, you ripple healing backward and forward in your life. When you embody gratitude today, you summon future blessings into your current timeline. This understanding redefines karma, not as punishment from the past, but as patterns of resonance that repeat until interrupted. A quantum shift interrupts these patterns, not by force, but by transcending the frequency that sustains them. In simpler terms, when you rise above the emotional energy of a pattern, say, shame, guilt, or resentment, it no longer has a hook in your reality. You've disarmed it, not by fighting it, but by outgrowing it vibrationally. Let's also address a common misconception, the idea that we must figure everything out to shift. This is rooted in the old paradigm of control. The quantum model is not mechanical, it is mystical, intuitive, and alive. It responds more to stillness than to striving. The mind seeks control, the soul seeks coherence. True shifts often happen when we surrender, not in defeat, but in trust. There is also a protective intelligence within the quantum field. It does not give you what your ego demands, it gives you what your soul is aligned to receive. That's why some delays are actually divine edits. Some unanswered prayers are redirections into higher timelines. From the limited view of the ego, these moments look like setbacks. But from the soul's perspective, they are sacred recalibrations. The key is to move from force to flow, from reaction to creation. The moment you stop chasing change and start embodying change, the universe rearranges itself around your new frequency. You don't need to know the how. You need to become the who. And when you do, the quantum shift is not only possible, it's inevitable. Now that the veil has been lifted and the architecture of quantum reality revealed, the natural question becomes, how do I begin? How do I initiate a quantum shift, not just conceptually, but practically? The truth is, you don't need advanced physics, elaborate rituals, or a mountain retreat to start reshaping your world. You need one thing: inner alignment. And that begins with presence. The first gateway to any quantum shift is awareness. Not fleeting thought, but deep, embodied observation. You must begin to watch your internal state like a sacred scientist, tracking thoughts, noticing emotional patterns, observing where your energy is directed. Because whatever you focus on, you feed. Every time you replay past regrets, dwell in self-doubt, or obsess over lack, you are anchoring yourself to the frequency of an undesired timeline. Instead, begin your day not with reaction, but with intention. Even a few minutes of conscious breathing, visualization, or stillness can realign your frequency. Try this. Each morning, close your eyes and feel into the version of yourself who already lives in the timeline you desire. Don't just imagine it, become it. Feel their confidence, their clarity, their peace. Let that version of you rise within your nervous system until your body begins to believe it is real. Because to the quantum field, it is. This is not imagination, it is instruction. You are sending coherent signals into the field, telling the universe, this is who I am now. Reflect it. And the field, ever responsive, begins to reorganize the outer world to match the new inner blueprint. Journaling can also serve as a quantum practice. Not to vent, but to declare. Write from your future self as if the shift has already occurred. I am so grateful now that. Use language as a vibrational tool to condition your mind and body to a new narrative. The more emotional resonance you bring, the more magnetic your intention becomes. But intention alone is not enough, it must be paired with emotionally charged action. Every time you make a choice that aligns with your future self, you collapse more of that timeline into the now. Small decisions ripple outward. Choosing nourishing food over convenience. Speaking truth instead of staying silent. Investing in rest rather than burnout. Each act is a vote for a different reality. Rituals, too, can serve as anchors for quantum realignment. Lighting a candle each night as a symbol of your awakening. Practicing breathwork to raise your vibration. Using sound frequencies, such as solfeggio tones or crystal bowls, to retune your energetic field. These practices speak the language of the field, vibration, symbol, intention. They are not superstitions, they are subtle technologies. Still, the most important practice is trust. The mind will demand evidence. It will scream, nothing's changing. But the quantum field responds to certainty, not impatience. Shifts often occur in silence, behind the scenes, in unseen layers of your life. One phone call. One synchronicity. One inner knowing, and everything changes. But only for the one who held the frequency long enough to receive it. This is why doubt is the greatest saboteur of quantum manifestation. Not because it's morally wrong, but because it fractures your signal. It splits your vibration. You must become unwavering, not rigid, but rooted. Flexible like a tree, but grounded in trust. Speak your reality into existence, even when the world hasn't caught up yet. And when resistance arises, and it will, know that this is not failure. It is refinement. The quantum shift is not about bypassing challenge, but alchemizing it. The obstacle is often the final test before the timeline changes. When you respond differently to an old trigger, you initiate a new path. That is the moment the shift occurs, not when the result appears, but when you transform. So begin. Not with force, but with intention. Not with fear, but with resonance. The quantum field is already listening. Now, what are you ready to receive? We have traveled far, from the shadowed temples of ancient Egypt to the abstract equations of modern quantum mechanics. And yet, all along, the truth was never out there. It was always waiting within you, buried beneath layers of conditioning, slumbering beneath the noise of everyday life. The quantum shift is not a destination, it is a remembrance. A remembering of who you truly are beneath the illusion, a conscious architect, a sacred observer, a creator cloaked in flesh and breath. This shift is not something you stumble into accidentally. It's something you choose. You choose it in every moment you pause, reflect, and respond from your higher awareness. You choose it when you no longer accept reality at face value but ask yourself, what frequency am I vibrating at right now? What timeline am I feeding with my thoughts? That simple self-inquiry opens a gateway most will never walk through. But you are not most people. Because once you understand, deeply understand, that your reality is a mirror of your inner state, you will never again see the world the same way. You'll begin to see how your energy introduces you before your words do. How your beliefs shape encounters. How even the smallest shift in perception can reroute your entire destiny. This understanding doesn't mean life will suddenly become easy. It means you'll begin to see obstacles as information, as calibration points. You'll recognize resistance not as a blockage, but as a call to align more deeply. You'll stop waiting for signs, and start becoming the sign, for others, and for yourself. So the invitation now is not just to think differently, but to be differently. Walk through your world with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that timelines are shifting beneath their feet, because you are shifting within. Walk as if the future is already forming around your frequency, because it is. And when you find yourself caught in the old patterns, remember, all it takes is one conscious breath, one inner stillness, one choice to realign. That's the power of the quantum shift. It is always available. Always listening. Always waiting for you to step into the frequency of your highest self. So I ask you now, not as a closing, but as a portal, what version of yourself are you ready to become, today?